it's advised you don't do a global. I think that's what Ian was saying, but you work through each circuit individually with CRIPPR. But if you're doing C for all the circuits, and then you're doing your ring test, and then you're doing your insulation resistance test for all the circuits, what you can do, swap over to your crocodile clips, put your 500 volt crocodile onto the bus bar, and the first of the other conductors you're going to test against. Switch to 500 volts and show the bus bar to all the circuits at once. Now that should still come up with 299 mega ohms, and it does. I then switch from my CPC and my line conductors to my CPC and all my neutral conductors. Now the fact that there's RCBOs in so I can do it from there. I can contact all my neutrals from that position, and I get 299 again. The tricky one now is between both live conductors. So I've got my red one, my red crocodile on the neutral, my green, it doesn't matter which way round I do it. My green's on the bus bar, which is joined to all the brown origins. The problem I sometimes have is that manufacturers of RCBOs don't want you to do this at 500 volts. If there's sensitive electronic equipment, and I can't see any here, you're going to be putting 500 volts across it. So a neon light or anything in line, such as a light bulb or LED driver. That needs to be taken out of circuit. And I'll come on to that in a second. In this instance, we've got a low reading of 0.11 mega ohms. And that, I guarantee you, is because of the RCBOs here. Now what I can do is test one at a time. So the first of my circuits, yeah, that gives me 32 mega ohms. Turn that off, show the second of my circuits. Is that giving me the same? About 91 mega ohms, that's fine. And this is because of the electronics in the RCBOs, most probably. And we've got 299 mega ohms on the third circuit. And this slightly older RCBO at the end, yeah, that's the one that's giving us 0.11 as our result. So what I'm going to do there is, for the last of these RCBOs, I'm going to take off my conductors and test between the bare cables, rather than rely on the global reading. And I bet you anything, not anything, because I want to, I need some money in my account, but there we go, 299. So what we were picking up there, between the live conductors, tested through the bus bar and all the circuitry within the RCBO, what we were picking up there is a lack of resistance within the RCBO itself. So, and that is very common. You saw the more modern RCBOs actually had perfectly adequate readings. Now, something else about this is that with RCBOs, oh God, sorry, insulation resistance tests. Insulation resistance tests really need to be carried out during as well as after installation. Because after first fix, in between first fix and second fix, we need to check at second fix that the first fix is still safe.
because in between first fix and second fix, there may have been a lot of disturbance from other trades. So in this instance, I say that my live conductor insulation resistance test will have been conducted in between first fix and second fix. So that when second fix comes along and we put all the lights in place, we don't then, for initial verification, have to take all the lights out of circuit again in order to carry out that complete insulation resistance test. And to that end, I'm going to read you a little bit of GN3. GN3 states, when it comes to insulation resistance, I haven't touched the ring circuit yet. Right. Figure 2.A shows an example of testing a whole consumer unit in one test. The tests required are a test between live conductors, live to neutral, and tests between live conductors and earth, live to earth and neutral to earth. For circuits containing two-way switched or two-way and intermediate switched, the switches must be operated one at a time, and the circuit subjected to additional insulation resistance test in these configurations. That just means you've got to test with the light switches at every configuration. For circuits that is vulnerable to the test voltage, and this is what we might have if we are testing a new installation with all the LEDs, downlighters and everything in place after second fix, the line and neutral conductors can be linked / connected together, and a test made between the linked conductors and protective earth, as in line and neutral to earth. It is essential that the incoming earth connection is connected to the main earthing terminal of the installation, and that is connected to the means of earthing for these tests. The line and neutral conductors can be linked together and tests made between the linked conductors and earth. And that is repeated again. Let me show you how to do that. If you've got permission, because of all the lights in place, to carry out that test linked together, you need your link lead again. You will now link, don't get this muddled up with the R1, R2 when I linked the bus bar to the earth and carried out the R1, R2. We're going to link the bus bar, all the browns, turn on all the overcurrent protective devices or your MCBs. You've got to turn them on because otherwise you're going to have no inkling that you're not getting a decent result. You can then join that bus bar with the link lead to your neutral bar. Okay, then you can go to the end of line Let's do it with the light circuit, shall we? So we're going to go into our light circuit at the ceiling rows here, between the switch line and the earth, which of course actually now represents switch line or line and neutral because they're linked together against earth. We put that onto 500 volts and lo and behold, we've got 299 between both live conductors and earth.
Remember to remove your link lead always.
Commence a dancing, right, left a glancing, promote your dancing, slide, glide, and prancing, things to stop me wiggle, take your partner and you hold her, slide in and fold her, a little bowl, just work your shoulders, snap your fingers, one and all, in the hall, at the ball, and all, some ball. Commence to dancing, commence to prancing, commence to prancing, right and left to glancing, commence your dancing, slide, glide, prancing, you do the tango, jiggle, do the princess, Tommy wiggle, take your partner and you hold her, slide in and fold her, a little bolder, just work your shoulders, snap your fingers, one and all, in the hall, at the ball, and some ball. Commence to dancing, commence to prancing, commence to dancing, right, left to glancing, promote your dancing, slide, glide, prancing, things to start me with.